kills another person, they made a bad mistake, because if it was for that person to die, and if they could have just held their hand one split second, the person would have died anyway, because it was their time. See? That if something falls from the roof, if it hits you, it was meant to hit you. You couldn't have gotten out of the way, no matter how hard you tried. So knowing these things, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He already knows the beginning and the end of everything. He doesn't make mistakes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not make mistakes. He, in fact, does everything He can to help us to be in a better position, because He loves us. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about His love in the Quran, He describes it like a woman who have a baby, and when she sees that baby, her love becomes so great for the baby, even if she didn't start out that way. But as soon as she sees that baby, she loved that baby. See? Even more than that, many times more, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has love for us. So, the jurists say, when you fall down and scrape your hand, that this is a blessing for you. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you something that you don't realize. He's taking away some sin from you. He's going to help you now rather than punish you later. Allahumma salli wa sallam. These are things of belief. Belief is something, either you have it or you don't. There are a lot of people who say they're Muslim, but they can't say they're believer. They're Muslim because they submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will in regards to making their prayers, fasting Ramadan, giving zakat. These are Muslims because they're performing those actions that mean they submit to Islam. But when they came to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam out of the desert, and they say to him, "We are believers," he told them, "No, no, no, no. Don't say you're believers. Say you're Muslim." When the Jewish look at that description from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they say it's because the believer, he does everything in his life for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. More than just making his prayers, more than fasting Ramadan, he does all of those things, extra things, because the prayers in the Ramadan are obligatory. Without doing those, you can't say I'm a Muslim. They're obligatory. But feeding your neighbor, that's not obligatory. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leave that open for you. Being kind to your sisters, Allah don't make that obligatory. He gives you the opportunity to gain benefit for yourself or not, by putting you in the midst of your friends and your sisters and say, be nice to each other. If you do it, that shows the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He loves you for it. You understand? But let's say you got another sister in your midst, she don't want to talk to you. She don't want to talk to you. She walk away from you and just ignore you. Can you say she's not a Muslim? Of course not. As long as she's making her prayers, doing her fasting, paying her zakat, she's a Muslim. But is she a believer? That's the question. Because they're not the same. You can be a Muslim and not necessarily be a believer. But you can't be a believer and not be a Muslim. So, the lady who is ignoring you, not following and taking the good she could get by, giving you salams and how do you feel today, sister, and, my name is so. She's not doing that? Okay. Islam not going to fight her, but she's losing the benefit that a believer can have. Because when she does those kind of things with you, Allah loves her for it. He will increase her iman. So it's the smaller things, the things that are not obligatory, where you get the bigger reward for it. Like when we go out and feed the homeless people. Feed the homeless people. If you like to do it, alhamdulillah, it's good barakah for you. If you don't do it, mashallah, you just don't do it. Nobody's going to fight you and hit you because you don't do it. But if you do it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love you for it. They say, around the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there will be people who will be sitting in chairs of light and standing on thrones of light. That they won't be martyrs or prophets. And that the martyrs and the prophets will be in awe of them. And they will be asking, who are these people standing on these pillars of light and sitting in chairs of light around the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And it will be said, these are the people who love their brothers and sisters for love of Allah. See? Believers. Mu'min. Different than Muslim. Allahumma salli wa sallam ala. So once you know about something, you know the good that you could find in it. Hadrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he cut his hand when cleaning his sword. He looked at the cut. He said, oh, I know what that came from. Went on. Didn't think of it as bad. Thought of it as a blessing. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salatu salam, thrown in jail. Thrown in jail. He is the grandson and the son of two of the most famous prophets in history of man. When they throw him in jail, he don't say nothing about Isa and Yusuf and Ibrahim. He said nothing. He says that he trusts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he don't make no complaint. He said that he must be there for a reason. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put him there. And it turned out that he became the ruler of Egypt. And bring all the Jewish people into Egypt. They were all in a state of confusion and doing bad things. He bring them back to Egypt. They come into Egypt. And after a period of time when they go back out of Egypt, they are multiplied by so many and they're back in a good condition again. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he wasn't afraid of anything or anybody except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they want to throw him in the fire. Big fire. Some people say the fire was as tall as buildings. They throw him in the fire and the fire go out. They make more fire. Throw him in the fire go out. But he never complained. He trusts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all through the history of man, they've had all kinds of prophets and saints and martyrs and all these people who show us the right direction. That we just do what we do for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, try to be good people, and we will be successful. You see? Okay, so once you know right from wrong, you know what direction success is in, and you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control of everything. He's in control of everything. Stop, don't complain. Don't complain. Because if there's some way that you can help yourself, what I mean by that is, let's say the person, sometimes, all the time, we get people coming to mosque. They come in the mosque and they're begging. Some of them, they're like half my age, physically stronger than me, brains are working, you know. But they come in the mosque and they want to ask us to give them food. I'm like, okay, occasionally, it's okay, no problem. But then I tell them, let's help you find a job. Oh, no, they don't have time to do that, but they want to sit in the mosque and read from the Quran in Arabic all day long. And then when it comes time for dinner, they want me to buy them dinner. Huh? This is not the way. The Sahaba chased them out the mosque with sticks. Make them go out there and do something for themselves. Gain something, do, stop begging. See, we don't owe you nothing. It's okay to be nice to people, but we can't be codependent. They have to go out and work. See? So, don't complain to me if you have the ability to help yourself. If you don't have the ability, I understand. Some handicap, some problem. Maybe even sometimes people fall on hard times. We're happy to help them. But this can't be a profession. Can't be a profession. See? After a while, it's embarrassing to see them supposedly Muslim living like that. Oh. Assalamu alaikum. No, I'm here in my house, and the class is not in the mosque. The class is in, you have something to write with? It's right near the mosque. No, it's in my home. I can give you, the address is 1539 Lexington Avenue, and the apartment is 14G. All right, it's like on 99th Street near the corner on Lexington Avenue. That's all right. Yeah, the sisters are sitting here looking at me. Inshallah. Okay, assalamu alaikum. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina Muhammad. Salam Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam taslim kathira. So this is the idea. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying He don't help you unless you try to help yourself. See? So that means that if there's something that you can do, even if you can't get it done, but at least make the attempt, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you. But if you don't even make the attempt, and you're looking for something to fall out the sky for you, that's not the right way. You have to make the attempt to help yourself. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say the results will belong to Him. And let's say He don't give you the results you want when you want it. So what are you supposed to do? Cry, baby? No. This is just a test of your faith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing your faith. People want to go to paradise, but they don't want to have to deal with the test that comes with it. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created paradise, He sent Gabriel to go and look at the paradise and then come back and tell him what he thought. So the hadith Qudsi, it say that Gabriel went to look at the paradise and he came back and told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I don't think nobody's going to be able to go in there. They're not going to be able to go in there because they're going to run away from it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why are you going to run away from it? He said because it's surrounded by work. So many things that they have to do. And then what the scholars say, he's talking about ibadah. The work that you have to put in to build up your position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you to be able to go in. For you to deal with all kinds of upheavals and be able to go in. See? Jannah is surrounded by that. Those are your trials and tribulations. So he sent them after that to look at the fire. So he go look at the fire. Gabriel come back, alayhi salam, and said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yeah, now this place, you're going to get them all going to go in there. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, oh, why is that? Oh, it's surrounded by so many of the pleasurable things in the world that they're going to like, they want to do it. And he's talking about the nafs. Eating too much, all kinds of stuff you don't really need, spending your money exuberantly, fornicating, lying, cheating, all those things, nudity, all those things that are haram, the hellfire is surrounded by those. And that, if you look at society, you see it's easy for them to fall into that. Easy. The designers have made nudity as a part of fashion. The scholars say Shaitan, a'udhu billahi, very intelligent, more so than most of us. That he knows the way to get to a society is through the fashion of women. That's how he can straighten them, make them go straight. Through the fashion of women. The first sin, second sin, was that he made Hawa conscious of herself in her nudity. See? She realized, oh, look at me. So, today, all through history, he's been using that same concept to keep societies astray through women and their nudity, especially. And they call it fashion. The worst thing I can tell you, one of the things that really drive me crazy, is that in America, the Muslim women come here and then they forget who they are. They forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. You can't come here and think that it changes, nothing changes. Like some men come here and they start selling beer in their store. See? And they think that it's acceptable. It's not acceptable. What's haram one place is haram in the next place too. It doesn't change. It doesn't change. See? Okay. That's enough. I just wanted to tell you about that so that, when you make your prayers, okay, listen. When you go to school, right? Many of you have gone to college and different things like that, whatever your basic education is. Or when you go to your doctor, or you go to school, and they give you the information they think is going to be helpful to you. When you go to your doctor, you look on the wall, you see what kind of doctor he is, until you feel comfortable with the doctor's education, and you see his degrees on the wall. You say, okay, the doctor tell you, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. All right, doctor. You're not gonna go and tell the doctor, well, I want you to give me 3 of these and 5 of those. Not gonna do that. You're gonna, whatever the doctor say, basically from his history, his education, you're gonna say, oh, okay, doc, you know something I don't know. All right. When you go to school, right, you get to sign up for your course. You read about who the professor is, what subject he's teaching. You say, oh, I need that subject. You enroll yourself. When you get in there, he give you his syllabus. He say, well, this is what we're going to be doing. You don't tell him, well, professor, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. See? Whatever he say, that's what you're going to do because you want to get the credit. Well, it's the same thing with the sheikh. The sheikh is like the guy who's working on the soul. He's been educated for that. So the stuff I'm trying to tell you are things I know you need. Some people need it more than others, but we all need it. Because even if it's not you, then it's like you got daughters, you got cousins, you got sisters. You want to be able to give them the right stuff. That's why you come here. And so inshallah, when we finish, they'll call you Sheikha. When we finish, they'll call you Sheikha. Like my daughter. They call my daughter Sheikha. Because, she's among the Somalis.
Yes.
The Somalis. And the Somalis come to my daughter for information. Islam. And I don't know if you know about Somalia, but Somalia is one of the countries that has had Islam as long as the Arabs. So it's just on the other side of the mountain, Anyway, I want you to reach that level where, sometimes maybe even like Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, the men used to come to her for information. You probably will be, if you learn this stuff, you'll probably be smarter than most of the men that come around you in Islam. They may even start to come to you and ask you for information. It's okay. Just make sure that they don't sit with you like this. Put them to the side. Put something they can ask you. You know, have some family member, male family member, to be in between or something like that. He can ask you questions. You can answer. There's no problem with that. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak. But it's a reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created men as prophets and not women. Because there's questions that women can talk to men about and not be embarrassed, not be ashamed. See? Prophet ﷺ taught them everything about menstruation, about afterbirth, everything. See? But for a woman to have to talk to men about that and educate them, it's a little bit hard. So, you know, she was an exception. She was an exception. She was one of the biggest scholars in the history of Islam. Men used to come to her from all over, travel long distances to come and take information. Okay. My last thing I want to tell you. This is a book that you need to read. Not the whole book. It's called The Four Imams. The Four Imams, but it has to be this author. His name is Muhammad Abu Zahra. Z-A-H-R-A. Thank you, Aisha. Muhammad Abu Zahra. He is the one who has written about the four Imams: Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, and Ahmed ibn Hanbal, clearly in a way that the Muslims can understand their position in Islam. Not like the Wahhabi. They have people, Wahhabi, you know what I mean, Wahhabi? They have Wahhabi that have written this same